Guys, what's going on? Today we're going to look into some Far Cry 6 gameplay. I know me and my buddy Reaper just started and we noticed a few things. I noticed a few things about the game that seem super unrealistic, but there are a lot of things that are super realistic. So we're going to go through and look at some of these gameplay videos and talk about what may or may not, or what is and what isn't very realistic, and we're going to go from there. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and let's just get straight into it. Okay, so I know it says aggressive combat gameplay. Right off the bat, he uses corner. He's not using corners whatsoever. Not using cameras. They're not. There's not a single. There's not a single armor in the world that is going to take that many rounds and him not be dead. He's throwing sticks. It looks like sticks of dynamite. They definitely don't blow up that fast unless you shorten the fuse. A jump from that high would definitely not be comfortable. See, I would have used a flashbang while I was in the building, not... He's out in the open. He needs to find some cover. That's... I don't see how those dudes aren't shooting him unless he's just got it. He got ridiculously close to him for no reason. Okay, so apparently he's got a backpack that shoots rockets. So, like, for those of you who are big on running up to your enemy and stabbing them, in real life, you would get completely fucking annihilated. Like, you would get completely fucked up. Because when you're in a combat scenario, your main weapon is your M4 or your pistol. If you are assigned a pistol. Usually your pistol, people who carry pistols at all time are usually your 240 gunners, your soft components, stuff like that. Lay down. But you're not ever going to run up to somebody in the middle of a firefight and just stab them. No. The guy's using a submachine gun when he has an M4. Why did he... That's wasting ammo.
This is too easy. Que volá! Who are you? We're La Moral, and the Leste is our land. Our land, our medicine. You practice that little speech? Yeah. This is property of Libertad. Ah, Libertad! Knew you would come begging for our help. We should be fighting Castillo together. I'm Honron, second in command.
Well, she would be dead too. Everybody in that vicinity would be dead. Okay? Every fucking one of them. Because shrapnel, that is definitely within 35 meters. Like, there's no fucking way that they didn't get hurt.
company. Over there, by the chopper.
Batter up.
Okay. So the weapon optic, I don't know why he would. I mean, that definitely looks like a Vietnam era weapon there. If you have a secondary, you should have just swapped to your secondary in that situation. An adrenaline shot. Killed the fucking horse. Those dudes, whoever the fuck they are in a bad position right now.
Take this to abuela.
I don't know why. What the fuck is that? Okay, yeah. So, typically you're not just running through these areas wide open. A lot of you who've watched the gameplay me and Reaper have done, I think the only time we ever really charged into an area was when we had a fucking tank. Because who the fuck's gonna stop a tank, right? A technical pulled up, and instead of first finding cover, he didn't even open fire. Like, there's no aggression whatsoever. Like, as soon as you, again, running right up to him. I don't know what the fuck. He's definitely not. Throwing knives are not effective whatsoever in combat. He's got that on semi. So, yeah, I mean, I could see why he's using semi. I mean, it's very good for conserving ammunition. For very, very accurate shots with semi-auto versus full auto. Okay, first off, you should get rid of the enemies before taking out a technical. You shouldn't be trying to take out a technical while you're fighting enemies. So he's kind of, like, the order's right. The order's right. I mean, he's taking, the orders, I mean, what he's doing is right. The order's not right. What he's doing is what I would be doing. Taking out technical after the firefight is what I would have done. I definitely would not be standing out in the open like that. Definitely would not turn my back to the enemy. I mean, this guy's fucking good, but I mean, he's got it figured out, but there's a lot of things that I just don't agree with. Okay. So it's nighttime. Got an unsuppressed weapon. I think it's unsuppressed. No, it's definitely unsuppressed. And it's a wonder nobody has heard the gunshots and started freaking. There's the alarm. So the first thing you want to do in the game, your primary objective should be to take out the alarm. Because even if you do go completely just balls to the wall like this guy's doing, take out the technical after you've knocked out the enemies. Even if you do decide to go balls to the wall, I mean, no alarm they can't call for reinforcements. An automatic turn, I would not have jumped out in front of it like that. I would have found an angle that it can't hit, come up behind it, and planted a grenade or something. Okay, taking out a technical full of guys, that's not a bad idea. I mean, this dude's just wide open, man. I don't know what that lever did, but... Okay, so he... So they're freeing hostages. In a hostage situation, you don't want to be seen because then they're going to kill the hostages. Okay, so... You don't want to free the hostages until after you've eliminated all the enemies, and all the enemies have not been eliminated, I can promise you that.
This is Admiral Benitez. To the fake Yaran terroristas, I have you right where I want you.
Okay, that was good. One shot, one kill.
I recommend laying down
He needs to slow down.
and taking one last look at a nation that does not want you. Instead of peacefully serving Yara as outcasts, you will
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. That's one of the most, that is the, probably the most true statement I've ever heard. And you have a 50 cal machine gun. So this guy is shooting at a plane with an M4, and he has 50 cals. Which one do you think would be better, or the bigger or the smaller bullet? Because I know an M4 shoots a 5.56. A 50 cal is a pretty big bullet. As a matter of fact, I have a live 50 cal somewhere, and then I have a bottle opener that's a 50 cal. But this is your 50 cal round right here. I mean, I'll find the live one. I want to say it's at my dad's house. I think I had given it to my little brother, but then he lost it and I found it, so I'm not giving it back to him. But this is a 50 cal round. I mean, that is definitely going to be more effective, especially if, you know, they give you like, especially, you know, with tracers, because tracers burn hot as hell. I mean, of course, you know, if one of them was to hit the fucking pilot, the pilot's catching on fire. I mean, when we were shooting tracer rounds, we would set ranges on fire. But that, I would not shoot a 5.56 at any aircraft.
Baby Tigre, I think I'm at a dead end with Lucky.
I know you want your friends to fight, but there's a lot of young guerrillas in El Este who don't need any convincing.
La Moral? They are kids with guns who don't care if they hurt innocent people.
They are rough around the edges, but they are dead serious about taking down Castillo, Benitez, and McKay.
You're making me think. And when I think, it usually means I should change my mind. Okay, those kids have an HQ. Where is it?
I don't know if I can tell you about it. There's a password and...
I'll find it, baby Tigre.
So again, taking out people silently. If he had a suppressed weapon, it could have been a one shot. He wouldn't have to close and get that close to the enemy. I think the only time... I mean, I've used those machete kills a couple of times, but that's only when they're by themselves, because if you are within 30, within grenade range of another enemy and you stick a knife in somebody, you're going to hear it, because they're obviously not a very well equipped military, so I doubt they have hearing protection on like your fucking Peltors or anything like that. And even with Peltors, you can turn the volume up and you can actually almost hear more when you have it turned all the way up. You know, hear some more small sounds than you do anything. So, like, I would not be killing people with a machete in this case.
Got it, Honron!
I would not engage. Okay, he didn't engage the enemy. That laser's... So he shot those rocks a little too late if he was trying to block the road. He definitely... This game does not have any laser discipline whatsoever. That dude was already dead. He continued to shoot. Waste of ammunition. Now, if all of those enemies... Again with the rocket backpack. Did, again, if you're using a weapon that all with the same caliber that your enemy's using, that's one thing. I would not be pulling out a sniper rifle right now to try to shoot those. I would definitely be using a 50 cal, which I know one of those vehicles does. Somehow the helicopter didn't die even with the rockets. And somehow he killed it with a FAL, which typically shoots 7.62. The lack of recoil makes me think that it's a smaller caliber. And again, using dynamite.
Good job, Nanny. Let's see what's inside this bad boy.
So obviously they were trying to get the cargo on back of that truck.
I actually switched from Chrome to Opera GX a while ago just because...
Okay. So, the game overall, the reload seemed pretty realistic. It definitely brings it up from what I saw. I mean, it brings it into sight so you can kind of see the enemy as he's reloading, which isn't bad. Pretty cool, in my opinion. I guess it really just depends on who you are when you're playing the game, but if you're more like if you like more realistic combat, like I do, I like to make the game as realistic as possible. I definitely would not be going with the tactics that most people are using in the game. Again, the only time I've ever really charged the enemy like that is during is when I had a fucking tank. But that's the only time we've ever really just drove into combat like that. Was with your is when we had a tank. I don't agree with running out. There's a lot of times where you should be taking cover and such like that. I mean, there's no reason as to why. I mean, if you think about it, I understand, like, in the game, you're trying to liberate the area. I completely get that. I understand. But I don't know, man. There's just a lot of things that I would do differently. Definitely start slowing things down, taking your time, identifying your target, scouting. I did not see a single bit of like scouting reconnaissance. That's a big thing. So there, I know in the game there's there's spots where you can get a higher vantage point of the area, which I love, because you're never going to go into a scenario like this, than any scenario, and not recon the site. If you can't recon it from a high vantage point, you can do a clover leaf, if you will. You can kind of maneuver around and find different points and try to cover the whole, at least 4 corners of the area, and try to find a good entrance point that you're not going to be spotted by enemies. I mean, that's the best advice I could give for anybody who's playing the game, is definitely recon before you jump straight into it. Now, I know this isn't a real life combat experience. Like, they're not trying to make it as real as possible. But if you personally want to make this game seem any first person shooter game seem very realistic, aside from like Doom, which I never understood that game. I've played it like twice, could not get into it. But if you're ever doing like an actual combat oriented first person shooter where you're taking out enemies and you're having to secure certain areas, I definitely would recommend scouting every area first. Going slow, get a suppressed weapon that has enough firepower to headshot, one shot, one kill, all that good stuff. Um, if you would like to see how I would do it, or how Reaper would do it, or how we both would do it, check out my Twitch at Blake for Days One, and you'll see how I kind of like to do things when I play these games. So yeah, we will be streaming this game live here in a few minutes. So if you want to check that out, stop in at Blake for Days One on Twitch. But until then, I'm out of here. See you.